What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and do a very in-depth comparative analysis between Tesla and SPY and break down what's very likely to happen over the next couple of days, over the next week or so. I'm going to break down everything you need to know about SPY and Tesla, do some very in-depth technical analysis, and break down how SPY may affect Tesla and give us some good ideas about what is yet to come. Now, before I break anything down about this analysis, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 9 days. So check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So one of the things I want to note is the fact that we have some very similar price action between Tesla and SPY. Okay. And this is because the whole market is very kind of like, I want to say a little bit different from a typical market in a way, because there were many instances where the QQQ does not run exactly like SPY or this closely with it. And that's why I want to break down and compare Tesla with SPY, right? And help you understand why on earth SPY could give Tesla an extra boost if we do get a break to the upside going into the trading week that's coming. So let's actually compare them. And we can actually infer something very important when we do this. Let's start off with what Tesla did on, let's just say, the going into like the 27th to 28th. Tesla was selling off, okay? We'll start off with that. What was SPY doing going into the 28th? We got a bit of a sell-off. We actually pushed up on the 23rd, then we had a bit of a sell-off going into the 28th. Very interesting to see. Then right here, and by the way, guys, we have SPY on the right and Tesla on the left. Then we have a bit of a gap to the upside for the 29th. SPY comes up. What does Tesla do? We have a gap to the upside. And we kind of chop sideways, forming a head and shoulders on the 29th. So SPY goes up, Tesla goes up. SPY comes down a little bit. Then we form this like top right here, right? This very vertical looking top. Tesla actually is not as volatile, but Tesla forms the top right here. Then Tesla comes down just a little bit. Very similar price action. Then what happens when we start the new year? Basically, SPY has a bit of a sell-off right here. You can see the sell-off that happens right here. Tesla has an even bigger sell-off because of the fact that Tesla had the deliveries report that came out, which made things more extreme. And then what happens on the 4th? Tesla has a rebound. What happened on the 4th with SPY? We had a rebound. It was the same. And then the 5th comes. Where's the 5th? SPY has a bit of a sell-off. Another sell-off. What happened on the 5th to Tesla? Tesla gapped down, pushed up a little bit, and closed kind of red. Then the 6th comes. Friday. What happens? SPY comes down a bit. Economic data is good. Huge rally to the upside to retest the upper trend line. What does Tesla do? We gap down because of the fact that there was another bad piece of news as Tesla cut prices in China. Then all of a sudden, we bounce, and then we got another big rally and Tesla closes green. So they ran very similarly for the entire week, for the entire 2023 so far. Okay? The main difference tends to be spurred by either Tesla's relative performance or the news. So if there's a bad piece of news, Tesla could sell off much harder than SPY. If there's a good piece of news, Tesla could do a lot better. And historically, Tesla tends to have a beta above 2, so Tesla should be more volatile than SPY. So I want to make that very clear. I'm not some kind of Nostradamus person, and I'm just, speaking relatively, but I don't know always what the news will say. That's why technical analysis is not always perfect. Okay? But it could be quite accurate to understand what on earth price action could do. And once you understand that, it could help you better understand Tesla's price action, where Tesla could go to, and where the market may go to over the next like week or so, right? And I'm going to show you proof of that, okay, in just a few minutes. Now, if you look at them side by side, obviously Tesla and SPY right here, they tend to have lots of similarities, but there was an instance near the end of the year of 2022 where Tesla was selling off much harder. That was because of Elon Musk selling and lots of negative news. Tesla also had more relative weakness during that time frame. So please remember, the news affects Tesla a lot more than many other stocks out there, as it's so popular to be on the news and there's so many catalysts. But at the same time, like I just showed you, Tesla does have a tendency of being affected by SPY and having many similar correlations. So for the week, just to remind you, two major things. Jerome Powell is going to be speaking on Tuesday, and then Thursday we have CPI data coming out. Just keep that in the back of your mind. I'm going to explain in a couple of minutes. So now, I was talking to you guys about how technical analysis could be accurate. It really could. Is it always accurate? No, but it could be accurate. I'm going to show you exactly how. In my previous video, not my previous video, my video from last week, my previous Saturday video, if you rewatch the video, I drew out this Elliott wave structure. All right, let me close the smaller one. I think I have it right here. Let me close this one. I drew out this structure. Look at how I drew this out. I drew out this major sell-off phase, and then I predicted, I've been saying this since last year, my prediction was the first week of January, we would get a rally to 390 before the big crash. I don't stand by it right now, though. I want to adjust it a little bit. And what happened? We rallied to 389 on Friday, and we came super close to 390, very close to what I had predicted. And how did I come this close? And I won't always be this close, but my point is, we had some indicators that told us this. And what the indicators told us were two things. First off, we got a lot of sell indicators up here suggesting the market's going to have a big drop. And I still stand by that. I do believe the market has a lot more downside to come. But before the downside comes, we had some very bullish signals that came out. The first thing I mentioned to you guys was, hold on, this divergence right here, the bullish divergence that formed. If you look at this low that SPY made, 374, look at how this trend was down, whereas the MACD was in the opposite direction. This is a bullish divergence, suggesting that this 374 was a temporary bottom. And what you'll notice is, and I actually have this on a trend line right here. So on my right side, just look at the right side, don't worry about this side. You'll notice that SPY was basically bouncing off the trend line, establishing higher lows, right? The MACD told us 374 was a temporary bottom. I use the word temporary. That means that eventually it will get broken in the future, but for the short term, it was actually making higher lows, and this was the temporary bottom. Look at this. We bounce off of this. We come close to the top of this bear flag-like pattern. You could even call it a channel, right? We ping pong off of it. We come down. We bounce off the line again. And where do we bounce? 376. We push up again. We come down. Oh, we establish another higher low. 378 now. We bounce again. We come down. Where do we bounce? 378.8 or 379. Very close to that. What happens? We get another big rally. And what's interesting is when you zoom in, we basically broke the trend line. We were getting ready to explode, but we failed to close out or above this trend line. If we closed above this, man, that could have been a very bullish signal. But we did end up closing a little bit below the trend line, which means that there is still a possibility we're going to remain in this channel. So I want to break down what could end up happening. In my previous videos, I predicted that maybe 390 would be about the top, but now I don't know if I can actually say that. And I'm going to close the MACD for you guys, just to make this easier to see. So now I don't know how high we're going to go. It's very hard to predict at this point. I predict, though, that the top of this rally is going to be somewhere between 390 and 400. And I don't know what's going to happen, because we're going to make moves based off news and data, right? I don't know what Jerome Powell is going to say on Tuesday. He could cause the market to pump. He could cause the market to crash. I don't know what CPI is going to bring us on Thursday. I don't know if the market's going to, continue to pop or the market's going to crash really hard. But what I didn't realize, at least like about a week ago, was we had some bullish signals in the markets and I was bullish going into this week. And that is what happened. And I said that because of the high puts volume, right? Everyone is like shorting the market now, saying the market's going to crash. Well, the market makers, they realize that and they do not want to pay off all these premiums. They don't want to pay all these people. So what are they going to do? They're going to pump the market up. They're going to work with their hedge fund buddies, try to pump the market up to cause pain for all the puts out there, all the shorts. And then once everyone turns bullish, once everyone gets excited, when they think the market's going to continue to squeeze, then they rug pull us. That's what they've been doing this entire time. And also, when you push the market up this high, the premiums of the puts becomes cheaper. So it's cheaper for Wall Street to short the market when the market gets these big rallies, right? That's exactly what they want. And I believe this is what they're trying to do. They're getting ready to reposition. And they're playing and using retail money. They're playing investors. They do this all the time. So now, because of this potential, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know if our top is going to be like around 390 and we barely hit it and we're now going to start descending going into next week, or if we're going to continue to rally and see this thing go to maybe gap resistance or maybe try to fill the gap way up here. I don't know, guys. It's very hard to tell. We could see this thing hit 395 before crashing, or it could just fail at 390. It's very hard to tell at this point. All right. But I want to go over just the possibilities. And I want to use another Elliott wave count. This is what I basically did last week, where we have our like 1, 2, 3 is like the bigger sell-off, 3, 4, and then 5, forming the final bottom in this sequence. And then I basically closed this giant one, and I drew out how we have these small sequences within the giant one, right? Because this whole move is a giant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in my opinion, kind of like this, right? It's similar to this. And you have to remember that if the whole bear flag setup plays out, then we're going to have a drop. The pole is going to be the same length as this. So we're going to have another significant drop like this right after here, which is why SPY could crash pretty quickly to 350 to 360 if we do get a big break to the downside. I'm going to show you the possibility in just a few minutes. Now, the real question is, what is the sequence doing right now? And I don't really know how to do this. I don't really trade with Elliott Wave like at all, but I just want to draw this out. I mean, it's a little hard to do. Like maybe this is a 1. You could argue that this is the 1, the whole move like right here. And then this is like the 2, and we're making a big move for the 3. Could this kind of like be the 3? We come down for a 4, and then we have one last rally for 5. Who knows? We could see something kind of like this. This is our 5 before the big, rejection, before a big crash starts. And who knows what's going to trigger the crash if it does end up coming, hypothetically, whether it's Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday, whether it's the CPI report. I mean, if we do rally like this going into CPI, guys, I'm going to be very apprehensive because we know historically when that happens, it's not going to be the best of signs. So what does this all tell us about Tesla? I'm going to actually get into that from this point on. Just to remind you guys, I don't know where the top is of this like mini rally that we're getting so far. I don't know. I don't know if 390 is going to be the top, maybe sometime next week, or if we're going to go as high as 395 before we reverse. I don't really know. I do believe it's going to be somewhere between 390 and 400. Somewhere there is where the peak will be. And then we get most likely a big reversal after that. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know exactly if CPI will cause it. I do think it's very likely it will if we do rally approaching CPI. But now let's talk about Tesla. How is this all going to affect Tesla? What does SPY have to do with Tesla? Well, I just showed you guys. When the market gets these big rallies like this, a huge rally, a lot of the time, this will help Tesla rally. Why? Because when the market squeezes, we tend to see collective moves being made. We tend to see a lot of buyers step into Tesla. We tend to see Tesla also affect the overall market, right? When Apple makes huge moves, that could also affect SPY big time. So it's kind of like vice versa. Tesla could affect the whole market, and in a way, I'm sorry, like Tesla and Apple together, they could affect the whole market in a way because Apple is so huge. But at the same time, the way a lot of stocks end up moving could also have an effect on Tesla. So we saw the market collectively getting this buying pressure, collectively squeezing. And if it continues, if SPY continues to rally, this could be correlated with Tesla continuing to rally, right? Tesla could go even higher than this and start to squeeze. Why will Tesla possibly squeeze if it goes higher and higher in a short period of time? Part of that has to do with the excessive shorting we have been seeing. Look at the data right here. Look at the short interest. It's very high. As of December, it's been on this nice uptrend, peaking around the 29th of December. It's still relatively high for January. And notice how Tesla's been on a very interesting path. Let me actually find Tesla. Sorry. Since like this zone, we've seen Tesla trading kind of sideways. We even got this nice push up here. And since then, we're seeing the short interest starting to actually decline a bit. Very interesting to see. And it's nowhere near the levels, or like, how should I say this? Like October, November, they're nowhere near the levels of shorting that we started seeing around December when Tesla was taking big hits. So, very interesting to note that this thing does have some squeeze potential. So, what I believe is this. First off, I don't know what SPY is going to do. SPY is on the right side. If SPY gets a rejection and we start coming back down here to retest this trend line, I'm seeing three possibilities. Three possibilities overall. The first possibility is we could see a move like this. SPY could come down, get a rejection off this upper trend line, and remain in this channel because this channel has not been invalidated just yet. So maybe we start coming down. I mean, I don't know for sure if we're going to come all the way back down to retest this trend line. The market looks pretty strong as of right now. We could kind of come down a little bit to retrace, maybe start retesting the midline area. Then we get another big bounce. And we kind of remain up here until like CPI, for instance, and then we get a big rejection like that. So in this hypothetical situation, this could actually be correlated with Tesla coming down a bit, maybe retesting like 108 or so, then getting a big bounce. If SPY makes a big move like this, Tesla could fly, go for the gap fill, 123 to 125 ish, and then get a big rejection. So we could see Tesla hypothetically hit 125. It is still very possible, a big move like that, especially when it has high short interest. If SPY gets a big move like this, we could see a move like that. Now, the second, even more bullish possibility would be what we almost saw today, and that is SPY just breaks out of this channel, this bear flag pattern. What if we trade like this and we just shoot out of it? We see 390 all of a sudden, and the market makers want to pump the markets to cause pain to the shorts, and we just go and go and go, and this thing just flies all the way up to like 395, for instance. I don't think I could draw this out just yet, but you get my point. What if SPY just flies and then maybe like CPI causes the big reversal? Just for example, guys, what if we see this thing fly up like this? This is all just hypothetical. If that happens, and you need to watch this like in real time to know what's likely to happen. You have to be very careful too for fake outs and traps. That's why I can't promise anything. I'm not promising any of this will happen. I'm going over hypotheticals. If we see a move like that, if SPY squeezes like that hard, man, Tesla can make a big move, guys, a really big move. We could see Tesla could even like just start going from here, right? We might see Tesla push up like this, retest 117. It might just fly right past it and start flying for the gap fill in just like 1 or 2 days. And it might just fly all the way up to the 130s, like super quickly. This is all just hypothetical. Do not trade based off what I'm saying. This is just a hypothetical situation where it ends up squeezing. technical indicators suggest that is technically still possible. Tesla could actually go to these higher levels. It is still possible, but then I wouldn't be too excited about that because with Powell speaking and CPI and all these other things, there's no guarantee this lasts, and this thing could come right back down, right? So I just wanted to make that clear. Now, the final possibility is this. The trend we've been seeing continues, and it becomes like this is like the most lame, the most boring possibility. What could this cause Tesla to do? Let's just go over that. Okay, what could happen is what if SPY is making a move like this? We get a big rejection, they try to trick everyone, and this thing just collapses and comes all the way back down to this trend line. Because you have to remember, we were at 378 just on Thursday, so it could come right back down to retest the trend line at 380, then get a nice bounce. Maybe we get one last major rally like this, and this is like the final top right before CPI, and then we just collapse after that. Just for instance, right? Like this. So if this were to happen, Tesla of all things could form a possible inverse head and shoulders. We could see Tesla maybe some other like news catalyst comes out, something else happens, Tesla comes down like this, tries to get a bit of a push, comes down a little bit with SPY. Maybe it forms like a double bottom like formation, and then this thing just blasts off one last time to like fill this gap before we end up like dropping a little bit later. And let me fix this off in 1 second. Let me move this like this. Yeah, and then we get a big rejection after that. Like we get a huge rejection, and then we end up just coming down after CPI and etc. Right? We could see a move kind of like this on Tesla. Very possible as well. See how this looks almost symmetrical, and you could argue that this kind of resembles that inverse head and shoulders. We have the left shoulder, the head, right shoulder forming another breakout before another big rejection. It's all just hypothetical. This seems very possible, by the way. So then this would mean Tesla would respect a downtrend, SPY respects a downtrend, bounces, Tesla gets that one last bounce, and then we end up coming down because of who knows what, right? CPI, Powell, other catalysts, other negative pieces of news. Remember, that all matters as well for Tesla. But generally, Tesla does tend to make similar moves as SPY. Now, I do think Tesla may have a little bit more extra weakness going into Q1 because of what's happening in China and earnings and other things like that. But going into like the later months of the year, going into like any other time of 2022, Tesla was moving almost identically with that of SPY and the QQQ and the NASDAQ. Look at how similar they were for the first 6 or so months. Going into the first 8 months, they tended to be very, very similar, right? I would say up until like October. It wasn't until like we got close to November where they really started to diverge. But for the first 10 and a half to 11 months of 2022, Tesla followed SPY very, very well. The same could be said about the QQQ. Very similar from this end, right? It even underperformed relative to that. But anyways, guys, I hope I didn't make this video way too long. I do apologize if there's any background noise. I can't really do anything at this time. I just wanted to quickly get this video out there. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I hope these hypothetical situations and the technical analysis I showed you on SPY was clear. Once again, I don't know if 390 is going to be the final top or if we go a little higher. It is still very possible, but in order for that to happen, we have to break out of this zone that SPY has been stuck in, and there's no guarantee it's going to happen. But if it does happen, right, we have to break and hold it, right? We need to close above it too for us to be able to squeeze that high. I want to see that happen. So far, we almost did that. We came a little bit short. We closed inside of this channel. We really wanted to go. But if it takes off, that could actually help Tesla. It increases the odds of Tesla taking off to higher numbers. If SPY hits 395 to 400, Tesla could squeeze to or above 125 to 130, maybe even go even higher into the mid to high 130s. It could happen to Tesla. It could squeeze. And remember, finally, if SPY comes down here and kind of respects this channel again, Tesla could form an inverse head and shoulders like formation, get one last final push before a potential reversal in the markets, which could be triggered by who knows what. I'll just put it that way. So I hope that this was very, like, how should I say, engaging and entertaining for the people out there that love to watch videos like this. I want the best for everyone out there. So please, everyone, stay safe, remain calm, cool, and collected. Do what you have to do, and I'll most definitely see you guys in the next video. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.